In today's modern-day society, we don't know what is happening to the people. I guess something is wrong with their mentality, which is affecting themselves and other surrounding people, just like the rotten strawberries in the jar. If one is rotten, others will also get affected. As you see your surrounding neighborhood, something is wrong. In this video, we are going to discuss the rise of the LGBTQ+ community and how it is affecting the world. First, we will discuss what LGBTQ+ is. The acronym LGBTQ+ is an inclusive term that represents a diverse range of sexual orientations, gender identities, and expressions. Each letter in the acronym represents a distinct aspect of this community. Here's a breakdown of what each letter stands for. L, lesbian, refers to women who are emotionally, romantically, or sexually attracted to other women. G, gay, typically used to describe men who are emotionally, romantically, or sexually attracted to other men. However, it can also be used as an umbrella term to include all individuals attracted to the same sex. B, bisexual, describes individuals who are emotionally, romantically, or sexually attracted to both men and women. T, transgender, represents individuals whose gender identity differs from the sex assigned to them at birth. Transgender people may identify as male, female, or non-binary, among other gender identities. Questioning, queer, is an umbrella term used to encompass a variety of sexual orientations and gender identities that do not conform to traditional norms. It can also be a term of self-identification for individuals who prefer not to use specific labels. Questioning refers to individuals who are exploring and questioning their own sexual orientation or gender identity. The plus symbolizes the inclusion of other diverse identities and experiences within the LGBTQ+ community that may not be explicitly represented by the letters in the acronym. For example, a human identifies himself as cat or someone identifying themselves as an airplane or whatever. But nobody should be questioning you, that's what their demand is. History of LGBTQ+. In ancient civilizations, such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome, there were varying attitudes toward same-sex relationships and non-binary gender identities. Some cultures accepted and even celebrated homosexuality, while others held more ambivalent or negative views. In ancient Greece, for example, same-sex relationships between men were fairly common and often depicted in art and literature. During the Middle Ages, which spanned from the 5th to the 15th century, same-sex relationships and non-binary gender identities were increasingly stigmatized and condemned as immoral. Laws were enacted to criminalize homosexuality, and LGBTQ+ individuals faced significant discrimination, social ostracism, and persecution. Religious authorities and legal systems played a significant role in enforcing these attitudes. Homosexuality was considered a grave sin and a threat to the social order. Punishments ranged from fines and public humiliation to imprisonment and execution in some cases. LGBTQ+ individuals often lived in fear and secrecy, and their identities were largely suppressed. The early activism and liberation movements in the LGBTQ+ community emerged in the 20th century and laid the groundwork for the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement. Here are some key aspects of early LGBTQ+ activism. Formation of LGBTQ+ organizations. In the 1950s and 1960s, LGBTQ+ organizations began to form, providing spaces for community building, support, and activism. The Mattachine Society, founded in 1950, was one of the earliest gay rights organizations in the United States. It aimed to improve understanding and acceptance of homosexuality, challenging the prevailing stigma and discrimination. Daughters of Bilitis. The Daughters of Bilitis, founded in 1955, was a lesbian rights organization and one of the first in the United States. It focused on providing a supportive environment for lesbians and educating the public about homosexuality. The organization published a magazine called The Ladder, which addressed issues related to lesbian identity and rights. The Compton's Cafeteria Riot. In 1966, transgender women, drag queens, and other LGBTQ+ individuals in San Francisco's Tenderloin district fought back against police harassment at Compton's cafeteria. This event, often considered a prelude to the Stonewall riots, highlighted the resistance and resilience of transgender and queer communities against systemic oppression. Gay Activists Alliance, GAA, and Gay Liberation Front, GLF. Following the Stonewall riots in 1969, several LGBTQ+ activist groups emerged. These groups advocated for a wide range of issues, including the decriminalization of homosexuality, anti-discrimination laws, and the visibility of LGBTQ+ individuals. Pride marches and parades. The first Pride marches and parades took place in the early 1970s, marking a shift towards public displays of LGBTQ+ visibility and activism. These events aim to celebrate LGBTQ+ identities, demand equal rights, and challenge societal prejudices. The Stonewall Anniversary March in 1970 is considered the precursor to the modern-day Pride movement. Rise of LGBTQ+. Many countries have implemented legal reforms to protect LGBTQ+ rights. Same-sex marriage has been legalized in numerous nations, granting equal recognition and benefits to LGBTQ+ couples. Anti-discrimination laws have been enacted to prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity in various areas, including employment, housing, healthcare, and education. LGBTQ+ representation in mainstream media has grown significantly. TV shows, movies, and literature, pride parades, marches, and festivals are now celebrated in cities worldwide, providing opportunities for LGBTQ+ individuals and allies to come together, express pride in their identities, and advocate for equal rights. These events often serve as platforms for promoting LGBTQ+ visibility and fostering a sense of community, which is meaningless. Many companies and institutions have implemented policies and initiatives to support LGBTQ+ employees and create inclusive environments. The recent year of lockdown in 2020 and 2021 has affected many of the youth to support the community. With in-person events and gatherings limited or cancelled, the LGBTQ+ community turned to online platforms and social media to connect, organize, and advocate. Virtual spaces allowed for the continuation of support groups, pride events, and educational initiatives, facilitating the exchange of information and providing a sense of community. Lockdown measures led to increased screen time and online engagement for many individuals. This provided an opportunity for the LGBTQ+ community to amplify their voices, share personal stories and issues. Social media platforms became important avenues for LGBTQ+ visibility and activism. Side effects of LGBTQ+ community. Majority of the people in this community are the youngsters such as teenagers, and in their early 20s humans. In this recent years, this community affected so badly to the youngsters that they started to believe that they are part of this community even though they are not, making them not to think about what they are doing themselves. Some people accepted LGBTQ+ because of the fame and affection they are getting across the world, so they will have more money and fame. Some are accepted because of the circle they live with, and some are influenced by the fame the community getting. Some people wanted equal rights in every type of the industries, not every, obviously industry which gives them fame, such as politics, sports, modeling, etc. Imagine in sports, a biological man who identifies himself as a woman and wants to box with a biological woman, you know what will happen next. Or many men started to identify themselves as women and starts dominating the women in women's sports. It's not fair, right? The world before the rise of LGBTQ+. Historically, LGBTQ+ individuals have faced stigmatization, discrimination, and marginalization in many societies. Homosexuality, for example, was often considered taboo, sinful, or even criminalized in various parts of the world. This led to widespread social exclusion and limited rights and protections for these individuals. In many regions, there were limited or no legal protections for LGBTQ+ individuals. They faced the risk of legal consequences, such as imprisonment, fines, loss of employment, and death sentence, solely based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. And they were right. There were men and few women in the wars sacrificing their lives for the countries, and women and men living happily. Political leaders, scientists, doctors, and soldiers are men and women. After the rise of the community, humans doubt themselves what they actually are, born male but identifying themselves as women, or born female identify themselves as bisexual or a dolphin or whatever. As we know, there are only two genders, males and females. Another is transgender, which is born, not made. And others are with serious mental issues and lost their way and they need help. This video might be inappropriate to many people, but it is what it is.